Audio Jungle.
Woman sues auto dealer for 21 million after mini catches fire while charging at home. A Kingston woman has filed a lawsuit seeking over 21.7 million against luxury auto dealers ATL Auto Limited, claiming that her brand new 2022 Mini Cooper, purchased for nearly 9.4 million, burst into flames while charging at her home, destroying the vehicle and causing extensive damage to her property. In a lawsuit filed in April in the Supreme Court, Megan alleges that ATL Autobahn sold her a defective vehicle and breached obligations under the Sale of Goods Act, the Consumer Protection Act, and their contract of sale. She is also accusing the company of negligence and misrepresentation. According to the claim, she said she purchased a plugged-in hybrid Mini Countryman around September 30, 2021 from ATL Auto Kingston dealership. The vehicle came with a manufacturing warranty, and the ATL Autobahn arranged for the installation of the Forge EVSE electric vehicle charging station at her home. She contends that the Mini was serviced and maintained exclusively by ATL Auto Mechanics. However, on the night of June 23, 2023, she reported to park the vehicle at her residence and connected it to the charging station as usual. Around midnight, the vehicle allegedly caught fire, spreading rapidly and destroying the Mini, while also causing significant structural damage to her home and personal property. The claimant outlined her losses in the lawsuit totaling almost 22 million, which include cost of renovations to her home, replacement of personal property, temporary accommodation, security, transportation, insurance excess, and loss of use, as well as expenses related to preparation of a bill of quantities and the installation of the charging station. She claimed ATL Auto represented itself in an expert provider of brand new mini vehicles, and she relied on those representatives when making her purchase. She argues that the dealership sold her a car that was not fit for purpose and not of merchantable quality. This is in breach of statutory and contractual obligations. She further alleges that ATL Auto knew or ought to have known of the effects affecting the 2022 Mini Countryman Cooper model and failed to warn customers or address the risk. She also maintains that the company actions and omissions amounted to negligence, noting that the damage could not have occurred without a lack of proper care. This thing speaks for itself. The claimant is seeking general and special damages, interest, legal costs, and attorney's fees, and has reserved the right to amend her claim once further particulars of her losses are available. In response, ATL Auto Limited filed a defense denying that the Mini Countryman was defective. The company asserted that she had made no complaint regarding any issue or condition of the vehicle that would have caused a fire and confirmed that the car was regularly serviced by its mechanic, with any defects identified during maintenance promptly repaired. ATL Auto further contends that the fire resulting damage were not caused by negligence, breach of contract, or breach of statutory duty on its part. The company suggests that the incident was either an accident or an act of God and also invoked force provision in the terms and conditions of the buyer's order, arguing that it cannot be held liable for the fire or subsequent damage. Attorney at law Lowell Morgan is representing her, while attorney Ronston Braham of Braham Legans is representing ATL Motors. Storm damage runs deeper than dollars. The hit taken by Jamaica's coffee farmers from Hurricane Melissa goes far deeper than economics, Norman Grant, a veteran of the sector and one of its strongest advocates, has argued. There's a sense of depression and frustration. Every time you build, you then break as there's another setback, and we keep hearing that we are resilient. But is it very, very tough to just keep fighting back? Grant, chairman of Jamaica Coffee Exporters Association, lamented in an interview to Reporters last Friday, stating that the coffee industry has not had a chance to fully recover from setbacks over the last 4 years as the effect of climate change continues to batter produce. Grant said the emotional strain of repeated loss has left many farmers struggling with the concept of returning to normalcy. I think at some point in time, counseling sessions are going to be critical. The real support is going to have to be ensuring that there's some encouragement given and some initiative to our farming population, he said, adding that the estimated loss of the sector over the past 4 years stood at 2.5 billion, while coffee farmers in the Blue Mountain took a hit of approximately $1 billion from Hurricane Melissa. The $1 billion is just the estimate loss, it could increase. As we go along, the loss sustained may rise in the next 12 months because many of the trees were also lost, stated Grant. He suggests a multifaceted approach to recovery, prioritizing both the mental and financial needs of the agricultural workers, who he claimed are often not shown adequate support in times of need. We have to be very mindful that we don't only focus on the resilience of the people of Jamaica and the farmers in particular, the rural citizens, because I don't think we have an appreciation for the contribution of rural development. Sometimes, the rural development agenda, the folks in rural Jamaica, the citizens, are always at the back of the line and are always waiting, and we need to find a way to put this idea aside about us being resilient and get the support out there, Grant urged. He said that in a time of disaster, recovery and healing mental health is paramount. As such, he is calling on the Ministry of Agriculture to deliver to farmers struggling with repeated financial loss and trauma the support needed to return to production. We know that the Minister of Agriculture has his hands full, but the coffee industry is struggling as a result of climate change, and just the farm gate value alone, you'll be looking at 2.5 billion. So it is just tough, and people are going through a lot of trauma, and therefore, I think what is going to be energizing the farmers is how quickly we can extend this recovery program to them and assist the rebuilding efforts, he noted. Food galore at Roofless Charles Garden Market. The fear that there would be a shortage of farm produce at the Charles Garden Market in Montego Bay, St. James, over the last weekend amid the destruction Hurricane Melissa wreaked in the pearl farming belt St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, and South St. James, proved unfounded, as there was an abundance of farm produce abased at inflated prices. With the vendors, who normally operate inside the market, as required by the St. James Municipal Corporation regulation, joining the higglers on the street outside the market, the entire market circle took on the look of the annual agricultural show in Denby, Clarendon, where farmers generally put their produce on display. There was an abundance of yams, green and ripe bananas, plantains, melon, cucumbers, scallion, carrot, pumpkin, tomatoes, sweet pepper, Irish potatoes, sweet potatoes, pineapples, grapes, and American apples. These stalls, which were most covered with blue tarpaulin to protect the sellers from the elements, sun, and rain, gave them a festive backdrop for the bargain for best prices between those sellers and buyers. We're having a glut now. The produce you're seeing is what the farmers managed to salvage from their fields after the hurricane, said Trelawney Amsilla, Tisha Davis. I believe things are going to get difficult in the weeks to come when this supply runs out, because without a source of storage, they are gradually going to spoil. As reporters walked through the crowded market, there was a constant hum as buyers and sellers argue over price. The former complaining about the significant hike in prices since the hurricane, and the latter countering by referencing the increased cost of transportation and other fares. Right now, me no live nowhere because my house get blown down. So, me no have no time to argue over yam price, said a defiant Davis as she defended the price of her yam. It is 500 a pound, take it or leave it. Same so. Nikisha Campbell, whose Morrington St. James house was wiped out of existence by Melissa, said she was in the market selling, but her mind was elsewhere. This as she contemplates another night of sleeping under a rice tarpaulin, which is for now her home. I am trying to be as reasonable as possible with my prices because everybody get damaged by Melissa, she said. Me have my regular customer them who are like my friends because they're always supporting me. So me couldn't just look in at them eye and jack up the price on them. Me just have to do the best what me can do for them. However, with a pound of scallion $1,000, a pound of carrot $400, a pound of cabbage $400, a small bunch of bananas $1,500, a finger of ripe plantain $200, a pound of melon $500, one hand of ripe bananas $500, and American apples and grapes attached prices above 300. Many buyers were clearly not happy. One woman who regularly shops inside the markets because the vendors tend to be less expensive than the higglers said she was disappointed with the vendors who have jacked up the prices to match the higglers. Why una so wicked? Una no have no conscience. Una double the price of everything. We're just people like you. We're all suffering from the hurricane damage, said a woman as she desperately tried to get a vendor to lower the price for pumpkin. My workplace is closed because it was severely damaged, so I am now out of a job. and still have bills to pay, and I must also feed myself. However, the nonchalant female vendor would not budge, making it quite clear that she was not running a charity and suggesting to the buyer that she make contact with the government, Vibes Cartel, Spice, Sean Paul, or Shuggy, or, going forward, adapt the story of Joseph in the Bible, who stored food in the time of plenty so as not to go hungry in the time of famine. Urge your government to build storage areas so that when you have plenty, we can store it up for times like these, she said. We need to go out with Joseph in the Bible, she said. We have too much fertile farmland in Jamaica to be running out of food in just 2 or 3 weeks after a disaster. To subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.